Bernie told me something, I believed it because he never lied to me. He told me that when he got Oceans, Steve called the producers to try to get his role and even wanted to take less money.
You know, Steve at one point was, you know, uber successful, and then Bernie started to, because he didn't ever think he would get the opportunity he got, but once he did, America loved him, like we all kind of knew they would, and he decided to go a different way.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit.
7 black comedians have finally exposed the truth about Steve Harvey's rise to fame. From Mark Curry, who claimed Steve stole his material.
Why are you on my material?
Right.
You know, what's that about? You know, and then, you know, people want to jump up, oh, he didn't know, he didn't steal your... So yes, he did.
To Katt Williams, who spoke about industry betrayals.
Def Comedy Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up?
I'm nervous as hell right now.
They've all revealed a pattern of stolen jokes, sabotaged careers, and ruthless betrayal. This is the untold story of how America's favorite game show host built his empire on the backs of others. So let's get into it. Mark Curry was Steve Harvey's contemporary, grinding the same comedy circuit in the early 1990s. Both men were black comedians trying to break through in an industry that offered limited opportunities, performing at small clubs and working their way up through shows like Def Comedy Jam. Curry landed his own ABC sitcom, Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, in 1992, 4 years before Harvey's show premiered. The sitcom ran 5 successful seasons and established Curry as a legitimate television star with mainstream recognition. The show followed Mark Cooper, a former NBA player who became a high school basketball coach and later vice principal, navigating the challenges of education while maintaining his cool factor with students.
Mr. Cooper, coach, teacher, janitor, you're a real triple threat.
According to Curry, he and Harvey were friends during this period. They discussed their careers, shared ideas about what makes good television comedy, talked about their hopes for breaking into Hollywood as black leading men in an industry that rarely gave them that opportunity. Curry says he shared his sitcom concept with Harvey during these conversations. A comedian playing an authority figure in a school setting, working with kids, balancing discipline with humor and heart. These weren't just casual conversations, but detailed discussions about character development, episode structure, and how to make educational settings funny without being preachy. Then The Steve Harvey Show premiered in 1996. The premise? A comedian playing a teacher working with kids, balancing authority with humor and heart.
I'm Mr. Hightower, the new music teacher. I'm here to see the principal.
The similarities were striking and went beyond just the basic premise. Both shows featured the lead character as a music or sports figure, forced into education after their original careers ended. Both protagonists became vice principals, not just teachers. Both focused heavily on mentoring troubled students who needed guidance from someone who understood street life. Both used the school setting for comedy about maturity, responsibility, and second chances. Even specific character dynamics and episode structures mirrored each other in ways that felt deliberate rather than coincidental. Curry felt betrayed, but stayed relatively quiet for years. He understood the unwritten rules of Hollywood. Publicly accusing another black entertainer of stealing could damage both their careers in an industry already hostile to them. There was pressure within the black entertainment community to maintain unity and not air grievances publicly, especially when it might confirm negative stereotypes about black people being unable to work together. So Curry bit his tongue even as Harvey's show became more successful and his own career began to fade. But the allegations weren't just about the sitcom concept. In December 2019, Curry appeared on Fox Soul's The Mike and Donnie Show and got specific about joke theft. He claimed that Harvey had used his Halloween material on Harvey's NBC talk show Steve, performing routines that were based on true stories from Curry's life. Curry explained that a friend had called to tell him Harvey was doing his material, and when he watched, he recognized his own experiences being told as Harvey's stories. He confronted Harvey about it at Def Comedy Jam 25, but according to Curry, Harvey claimed he had no idea the jokes were Curry's. The accusations resurfaced with renewed intensity in January 2024 when Katt Williams brought them up during his explosive Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharpe. Williams explicitly stated that Harvey went to watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had, building his television empire on appropriated material. Williams's comments went viral, reaching millions of viewers who had never heard about the allegations before.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit.
The interview reignited interest in Curry's original allegations and prompted many to compare episodes side by side. Social media detectives found clips showing both shows using nearly identical scenarios, jokes, and character dynamics. While sitcom premises often overlap, the specific similarities between Hangin' with Mr. Cooper and The Steve Harvey Show suggested more than coincidence. They suggested deliberate appropriation. Harvey has never directly addressed Curry's allegations. He's never explained the similarities or acknowledged any wrongdoing. Instead, he's ignored the accusations entirely, letting his success speak for itself while Curry's career faded into obscurity. The original Kings of Comedy tour in 2000 was monumental for black comedy. Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Bernie Mac sold out arenas nationwide. The concert film, directed by Spike Lee, became a cultural phenomenon and one of the highest-grossing comedy documentaries ever. But behind the success, tensions simmered. Bernie Mac was the breakout star. His raw, honest style and incredible stage presence made him the show stealer. Audiences loved Mac's authenticity. Critics praised his fearlessness, and Steve Harvey reportedly hated it.
You don't do your material around a lot of comedians. That's like stealing in front of the police.
In a 2003 GQ magazine interview, Bernie Mac made explosive allegations. He claimed Steve Harvey went behind his back to producers trying to get him fired from the Kings of Comedy tour. Mac said Harvey was jealous of the attention Mac received and tried to sabotage his career out of insecurity. Steve Harvey tried to get me fired, Mac told GQ. The accusation was specific, direct, and devastating. Mac wasn't just saying they had creative differences. He was accusing Harvey of active betrayal, of trying to destroy a fellow comedian's career during their biggest opportunity. Radio personality Ed Lover later confirmed Mac's allegations. Lover, who knew both comedians personally, said Mac told him directly about Harvey's backstabbing. Mac felt deeply hurt by Harvey's betrayal. They were supposed to be brothers, kings building something together. The beef between Harvey and Mac became so intense that plans for a second Kings of Comedy tour were abandoned. The four comedians couldn't stand being in the same room together, let alone touring arenas. Mac's career continued thriving with The Bernie Mac Show and film roles, but he never forgave Harvey. Mac died in 2008 from complications of pneumonia. He never publicly reconciled with Harvey, and Harvey has never directly addressed Mac's accusations, instead offering vague platitudes about Mac being a special dude, while avoiding the substance of betrayal allegations. On January 3, 2024, Katt Williams appeared on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast and detonated a bomb under Steve Harvey's carefully constructed public image. The interview became one of the most viral podcast moments in history, viewed over 80 million times across platforms. Williams didn't hold back. He systematically dismantled Harvey's origin story, exposed his alleged pattern of joke theft, and revealed the industry's complicity in protecting him. Williams called out Harvey specifically for stealing Mark Curry's sitcom concept, appropriating Williams' own homeless story, and building a career on other people's material.
These are this is like Steve Harvey telling people he used to be homeless. That's my story. That's not his story. Steve Harvey wasn't never homeless. When Mark Curry was touring with him 25 years ago, he was making $3,000 a show in cash and doing 5 shows a week.
Williams also accused Harvey of being part of a network of comedians who steal material from more talented but less connected performers. According to Williams, Harvey aligned himself with other alleged joke thieves like Cedric the Entertainer, creating a protection racket where they'd cover for each other's theft while shutting out comedians who called them out.
Can't say you stole one of his jokes. Yeah, like, I mean, it was ridiculous. You know what I mean? It was like the idea of the joke that he was even talking about.
The interview struck a nerve because Williams wasn't just making vague accusations. He was specific, detailed, and clearly speaking from personal experience and industry knowledge. He named names, described specific incidents, and challenged Harvey directly to respond. The comedy community's reaction was split. Some defended Harvey, calling Williams bitter and jealous. Others, like Mark Curry and Godfrey, immediately supported Williams' claims and added their own stories. The interview forced a long overdue conversation about theft, betrayal, and accountability in comedy. Williams' timing was strategic. He waited until he was established and financially secure enough to speak truth without fear of career destruction. He knew his accusations would go viral and wanted maximum impact, and he succeeded. The interview fundamentally changed how millions of people view Steve Harvey, transforming him from beloved entertainer to controversial figure whose success story demands scrutiny. Comedian Godfrey had stayed relatively quiet about Steve Harvey for years. But after Katt Williams' explosive Club Shay Shay interview, Godfrey felt compelled to speak. In his own podcast appearances and interviews, Godfrey confirmed Williams' allegations and added crucial context about Harvey's behavior in the comedy community. Godfrey explained that Harvey's joke theft wasn't just about stealing punchlines. It was systematic. Harvey would watch younger, less established comedians perform, memorize their best material, then perform those jokes on bigger stages before the original comedians could establish ownership. Because Harvey had more exposure and better connections, audiences assumed the material was his. Steve would come to the clubs, sit in the back, watch everybody, Godfrey said. Then you'd hear your jokes coming out of his mouth on Showtime at the Apollo or on his HBO special. But what are you gonna do? You're nobody. He's Steve Harvey. Godfrey also confirmed that Harvey's reputation in the comedy community was terrible, despite his mainstream success. Younger comedians were warned to never perform their best material if Harvey was in the room. Established comedians who confronted Harvey about theft were blackballed or undermined. The pattern Godfrey described matched Mark Curry's experience, Bernie Mac's allegations, and Katt Williams' claims. Harvey didn't just steal occasionally. Theft and betrayal were fundamental to his career strategy. He identified talented comedians who lacked his connections and industry support, took what he wanted, then used his platform to establish himself as the material's originator. Godfrey's confirmation mattered because he wasn't particularly close to Williams or Curry and had no obvious axe to grind. He was simply corroborating what many comedians had known for decades, but were afraid to say publicly. His willingness to speak added credibility to the accusations and demonstrated that Harvey's pattern of behavior was widely known within comedy circles. The question wasn't whether Harvey stole material. It was why the industry protected him for so long, and whether there would ever be real consequences. D.L. Hughley found himself in a difficult position. As one of the original kings of comedy alongside Harvey, Mac, and Cedric, Hughley had first-hand knowledge of the tensions and conflicts. But publicly choosing sides could damage his own career and relationships. During various podcast appearances following the Katt Williams interview, Hughley tried walking a diplomatic line.
You know, Steve at one point was, you know, uber successful, and then Bernie started to, because he didn't ever think he would get the opportunity he got. But once he did, America loved him, like we all kind of knew they would, and he decided to go a different way.
He acknowledged that Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey had real beef that prevented a second Kings of Comedy tour. He confirmed tensions were serious enough that the four comedians couldn't work together again. But he stopped short of explicitly accusing Harvey of the specific betrayals Mac alleged. Bernie felt strongly about certain things, Hughley said carefully, and Steve felt strongly about certain things. They couldn't get past it. This diplomatic phrasing acknowledged conflict without assigning blame, a political move designed to acknowledge truth while maintaining professional relationships.
You know, Bernie, you know, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve. So, you know, nothing like that ever happens or doesn't happen for a reason. So I was disappointed, but
However, Hughley also made telling comments that suggested he believed Mac's side of the story. He spoke about Mac's integrity and honesty, emphasizing that Mac wasn't the type to lie or exaggerate. He described Mac as deeply hurt by whatever happened between him and Harvey, hurt that lasted until Mac's death in 2008. Hughley's measured response actually confirmed Williams and Mac's accusations more than it denied them. By acknowledging serious, unresolved beef that prevented the tour from continuing, Hughley was essentially admitting that Harvey had done something bad enough to make collaboration impossible. The October 2024 Black Comedy in America interview featured Harvey, Cedric, and Hughley attempting to set the record straight. But Hughley's body language and carefully chosen words suggested he was uncomfortable defending Harvey too strongly. He acknowledged Mac's talent, confirmed the beef was real, and notably didn't call Williams a liar. He just said the situation was complicated. Hughley's diplomatic approach revealed how difficult it is to speak truth about powerful industry figures, even when you know that truth, without risking your own career and relationships. Cedric the Entertainer stood firmly in Steve Harvey's corner throughout the 2024 controversy.
Hey, man, we've been friends for 30 years, man.
Oh, wow, man.
30 years. That's big, man. That's crazy, man.
You know how people say that about marriage? That's a long time in Hollywood to be friends with people.
As both a Kings of Comedy member and someone who'd built his career alongside Harvey, Cedric had professional and personal reasons to defend his friend. But his defense raised as many questions as it answered. Cedric called Katt Williams' accusations revisionist history, suggesting Williams was distorting events to fit his narrative.
I'm just saying I can't let these dudes lie. Cedric sitting here telling you why he ain't a movie star. He over here look like a walrus. You didn't say nothing.
He insisted Harvey never stole material and that the homeless story was Harvey's own experience, not appropriated from Williams. Cedric painted Harvey as a victim of jealous, bitter comedians who couldn't accept his success. But Cedric's defense had significant problems. He never explained the specific similarities between Harvey's sitcom and Mark Curry's. He didn't address Bernie Mac's 2003 GQ allegations or Ed Lover's confirmation. He couldn't explain why multiple comedians across different time periods told remarkably consistent stories about Harvey's theft and betrayal. Most tellingly, Cedric himself faced accusations of joke theft.
He thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
In 2007, Joe Torre and several other comedians publicly accused Cedric of stealing material for his special. The accusations were serious enough that Cedric addressed them in interviews, though he denied wrongdoing. This history made Cedric's defense of Harvey suspect, suggesting he might be protecting someone who operated the same way he allegedly did. Williams had specifically mentioned Cedric as part of Harvey's protection network. claiming the two covered for each other's material theft. If true, Cedric had strong motivation to defend Harvey. Admitting Harvey stole material might invite renewed scrutiny of Cedric's own career. During the October 2024 interview, Cedric insisted that Bernie Mac was family and that claims of mistreatment were impossible. But he also admitted, like Hughley, that the beef between Mac and Harvey was real and serious. This contradiction undermined his defense. If everything was fine, why couldn't they do another tour? Why did Mac take his allegations to GQ magazine? Cedric's defense of Harvey revealed more about industry politics and self-preservation than about truth. Ed Lover, legendary radio personality and comedian, provided crucial third-party validation of Bernie Mac's accusations against Steve Harvey. Lover wasn't directly involved in the Kings of Comedy conflicts, which made his testimony particularly credible. He had nothing to gain and no reason to lie. During multiple radio appearances and interviews following the Katt Williams controversy, Lover confirmed that Bernie Mac personally told him about Harvey's betrayal.
Bernie told me something, I believed it because he never lied to me. He told me that when he got Oceans, Steve called the producers to try to get his role and even wanted to take less money.
Lover's confirmation mattered because it established that Mac's allegations weren't just magazine controversy. Mac told multiple people in real time about Harvey's betrayal. The accusations weren't retrospective or manufactured. They were contemporaneous complaints from someone experiencing active backstabbing. Lover also provided context about the comedy industry's culture of protecting powerful figures. He explained that many people knew about Harvey's behavior, but stayed silent because confronting him could end careers. Harvey had enough influence to get people blackballed from clubs, excluded from tours, and shut out of television opportunities. Everybody knew Steve was doing grimy stuff, Lover said. But what are you going to do? He's Steve Harvey. He's got the shows, the connections, the power. You speak up, you're done. This explanation helped clarify why it took decades for allegations to fully surface. Fear of retaliation kept people quiet. Lover emphasized that Bernie Mac wasn't someone who lied or exaggerated. Mac was known for brutal honesty, even when that honesty damaged his own interests. If Mac said Harvey tried to get him fired, Lover believed him completely.
Bernie is one of those people, like certain other people in my life, that I knew very well. If Stretch told me something, I will believe it because he never lied to me. Bernie told me something, I believed it because he never lied to me.
The validation from someone outside the immediate conflict circle, someone who had personal conversations with Mac and understood the industry dynamics, significantly strengthened the case against Harvey. It transformed the accusations from he said, she said controversy into documented pattern of behavior with multiple independent witnesses. By 2025, Steve Harvey had reached mainstream success's pinnacle. He hosted Family Feud, reached millions through radio, had book deals and endorsement contracts. On paper, Harvey had won, escaped poverty, built a multi-million-dollar empire, became one of America's most recognizable entertainers. But Katt Williams' Club Shay Shay interview changed everything. Viewed over 80 million times, it sparked a cultural reckoning about Harvey's legacy. Social media detectives found old clips comparing Mark Curry's and Harvey's jokes, revealing striking similarities, suggesting theft rather than coincidence. Bernie Mac's 2003 GQ interview was rediscovered and shared widely. Multiple comedians who'd stayed silent began speaking about their own experiences. Harvey's initial response was dismissive. During August 2024's InvestFest appearance, Harvey mocked Williams' height and threatened violence. "I'd knock you short-o out. I'd shoot you a perm straight out your head." The response demonstrated everything critics said about Harvey. He couldn't handle criticism and resorted to threats when challenged. As controversy gained momentum, Harvey's tone shifted. By late 2024, he expressed regret about his initial response. "I probably shouldn't have said anything," Harvey admitted on the Pivot podcast. He even said he'd apologize to Williams for offensive commentary. But Harvey's contrition rang hollow. He never addressed the substance of Williams's accusations, never denied stealing material, never refuted claims about sabotaging Bernie Mac, never explained his sitcom's similarities to Mark Curry's. Instead, he dismissed everything as hate and jealousy, driven by people grieving over what they don't have. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.